awaiting the details. And with Donald Trump, unpredictability is a factor that we have to take into our considerations. So do you think the celebration is right now like too hyped? Are we hyping the deal too much at this point?
I wouldn't say that it's hyped, because the US ambassador to India has already clarified. He's already said that the tariffs are slashed from 50% to 18%. So definitely a lot of substance there could be this time in Trump's deal. I'm given to understand that we are joined by Mr. Subhrakant Panda, past president of FICCI. He's joining us from Delhi. Mr. Panda, thank you very much for joining us on this big day where we saw a post-market, a late-night announcement by the US administration that there has been a trade deal signed between India and the United States. Want to understand from you, sir, what kind of tailwinds is India Inc. expecting from this announcement?
Good afternoon. I think this is an extremely positive development, because while India has certainly, entered into multiple FTAs in the past couple of years, including most recently the mother of all trade deals with the European Union. But there is no question that the one with the US is very important, given that the United States is our largest trading partner and obviously is the preeminent power globally. So I think this is something which is very significant. It will, our traditional markets in certain sectors will benefit tremendously from the duty being slashed to 18%. While we are still awaiting the details, and I understand that this is broadly speaking an agreement on reciprocal tariffs, and a broader FTA covering multiple other issues will still be discussed and taken forward. But no question that this is an important development, one which has been brought about by Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's sagacity, the personal rapport that he shares with the US President, Mr. Trump. You're seeing that reflected in the stock markets, because there is certainly an element of positivity coming out as a result of this, yesterday's late night announcement.
In fact, one of the numbers that the US president pegged was 500 billion. Given that India's trade basket itself is about 700 billion, do you think, what substance do you think is there in this number as such, sir? Is there enough scope for India to carry out trade worth 500 billion with just one nation?
Look, I don't think there are enough details available for me to comment on specifics and how feasible it is, because we don't know if it is 500 billion over a 5-year period, or what that number signifies. I think it is important to wait for the details to come out before we sort of start on it. This could very well be a sort of a statement of intent to increase bilateral trade, what those specifics are. What is it that what are the sectors where this increase in trade will come about? These are all, I think, details which will come out over the next 48 to 72 hours. So I think it is not there's no point in speculating what it entails and how feasible it is. But suffice it to say that when two world leaders of the stature of Prime Minister Modi and Mr. Trump, talk about something. I mean, obviously there is some, more than just some substance to it. There is, I would presume there is a grand plan of action. But I think it's better to wait for the specifics.
Mr. Panda, they say that the devil is in the detail. And in fact, in case of the EU-India trade deal, there are still, the fine print is still being worked out. We're expecting that deal will actually, come into effect about a year from now. Are industry voices telling you about the likely timeline for the US-India trade deal? Are we looking at some kind of vague timelines, even if at this point, when it comes to the India-US trade deal?
Look, I would again not like to hazard a guess, because I'm obviously not privy to the proceedings. But, suffice it to say, I think, the Commerce Minister, Piyush Goyal ji, has made it very clear that, India will protect its core interests. It will, obviously not rush into any agreement. But having said that, I'm sure, the engagement is taking place at the highest levels. And many, there are many actors who have had a role to play, whether it is the Commerce and Industry Minister, the External Affairs Minister, the Commerce Secretary from the Indian side, and their counterparts from the US. So I wouldn't like to hazard a guess about the timeline, but I would certainly think that this is a top priority. We have cracked the initial step, which is to at least get the reciprocal tariffs down from 50% to 18%. That is a huge development with a lot of positivity for Indian industry, especially for sectors, labor-intensive sectors like gems, jewelry, textiles, apparel, etc. So they all stand to benefit. But I'm sure that this will be operationalized at the earliest, I think, in interactions. Yesterday, the U.S. ambassador to India has indicated that something will be signed in the next 3 to 4 days. I mean, as you obviously know, the External Affairs Minister is already in the U.S. With regard to discussions on critical minerals. So there are multiple aspects. I think what's important to keep in mind that the Indo-US relationship is one of the most significant, not just from a bilateral viewpoint, but also from a global perspective. So this will certainly get priority in terms of being operationalized at the earliest, so that people and businesses on both sides benefit sooner rather than later.
All right, Mr. Panda, thank you very much, and thank you for giving us a clarity on the likely tentative timeline that we could look at probably as the deal actually fructifies. We're given to understand JP Nadda has just made a statement. He has elaborated upon some kind of details that's expected to be shared. A state government is supposed to make a statement on the India-US trade deal. Let's have a look at that.